This is what we've done. We've grown our contact list by a couple hundred people per month for about 2 years. Your contact list is like the number of emails, email users you can email, or the number of people that are fans of your Facebook page. It's proved to be a very powerful and affordable promotion tool. And Facebook is free, and we use an email management program, and that's Constant Contact. And that is an annual budget of $420 for like 5,000 or less users, and we're about to cross the 5,000 threshold, so we'll have to spend a little bit more, but you can. It's scalable, so if you have a much smaller user list of emails, you can get it cheaper. But here's kind of like the situation on our local level. Our town has a population of about 17,500 the residents of the city of Paynesville. If you add up our Facebook page, we have a Facebook group, which is kind of like the old style that we had to convert away from, and our email contacts. If you add up all three, we have about 13,000 Facebook and email contacts, which is very, very close to our total city population. So in some senses, without any additional expense, we could contact the entire town. Supporters and email contacts live outside the community. But compared to our local newspaper, which is the News Herald, only about 1,400 subscribers live in the city of Paynesville or have offices in the city of Paynesville. So you can imagine, like, if you're a new restaurant and you're opening in your town square, or even in our town square, you know, if you buy the entire front page of your local newspaper, how many people you'd reach, versus if our organization sent out a Facebook message and an email for you advertising it. And so you can see that, you know, our advertising power is very significant through this, and we'll show you exactly how we built our list so high. And I think the key difference is focusing on list building and how to grow your number of Facebook and email contacts that high. So we'll show you just how to do that today. And how we've used this for our program, we've had record event crowds and turnout. This is an event that had been existed in the city before our organization existed, but we did some of the publicity for it, and we packed it so tight full of people that the number one complaint was there were too many people at this event. And we've had similar success at other events and have helped drive traffic to every event in the downtown, whether we ran it or not. From an organization standpoint, we've got dozens of new volunteers through Facebook and email, and we've also have a very substantial intern program. And this past year, we've had about 17 college interns, all of whom we recruited through email and Facebook and contacted them directly. And it's also been a huge benefit for our businesses. An example is we had a new pizzeria open last July, and we sent out Facebook advertising and email advertising for them, and overnight the business increased 400%. And I can give you other examples of how it directly benefits businesses, but that kind of gives you an idea of the power of this. And it's not time intensive, it's not resource intensive. You just have to have a very savvy strategy, and we'll show you exactly how to do that today. And so kind of what are the best tools? Like, how do we have that sort of reach in our community? Here's the, kind of to prove a point, here's the website of Barack Obama. And out of all of the things that he could communicate to his position on the war in Iraq, on the economy, his biography, you know, anything, the number one thing he wants from visitors to his website is to give over your email address. Because the reality is that you visit most websites maybe once or twice or a handful of times and you never go back. But if that entity has your email address, they can contact you periodically over time. So I'm on this email list. I get an email from Barack Obama probably about once a month or once a week from him about whatever is relevant. You know, today it might be Egypt, tomorrow it might be the economy, who knows. But he has the ability to contact me where I would never go back to his website that frequently. And so that's kind of the focus of a lot of marketing. And email remains the single most effective method of advertising. If you have a list of your customers and you can get them to buy again, basically, is how it would be in the general advertising world. And nearly everyone you hope to target has an email. You have an email address. You think of everyone on your board, everyone in your town. Almost everybody has an email address. It's just a matter of how you get that. Email is kind of aggressive and a little bit in your face. It's not passive. When you email someone, you're kind of breaking through all the competing commotion. I mean, if you think of all the restaurants in your county, if there was one restaurant that had all the email addresses of everyone in the county and everybody else didn't, that one restaurant would have a huge, huge advantage. And you could give your town that sort of advantage when you're competing against everybody else. And having a regular email campaign really builds a relationship with your customers, your town residents. It helps build credibility for your program. People know how to contact you. They hear about your program. And you can really get a lot of information out to your entire list with really one click. So it's just a very, very effective method. As far as social networking, Facebook is just ubiquitous. in your town there's about 1 in 3 people that has a Facebook profile. There's a bunch of other Facebook or social networking programs, Twitter, Foursquare, MySpace are examples. And I would ignore those, especially to start, unless you're doing marketing in maybe Bowling Green or Kent where you have a lot of young users. These websites are just generally not as popular among the general population, and your time's not as well spent spending these up. So I would not deal at all with these until you have your Facebook and your email campaign really set up strongly. And then some simple things to think about your brand. And this is Leo Burnett was, kind of like the biggest advertising guru of the 20th century, and his mantra is make it simple. You have to make it simple for the user or the viewer or your customer to understand. And so every time you're thinking about something, how do we simplify this to make it as simple as possible for our users? And then the other thing that we all have a huge advantage is that we're all starting off with a very, very strong brand name. If you ask people about their hometown, it usually holds a very special place in their heart. Probably why a lot of us are involved in revitalizing a historic district is that we already feel passionate about this entity that's already existed for 200 years. Locally, your brand is as powerful as Coca-Cola or Walmart. People will know your neighborhood, especially if they're from town, and it's important to focus on that brand name that already exists. And then also, every time we look at stuff, we have to think like the user. And I'll give you examples of that, of how some downtown revitalization organizations have successfully leveraged their brand and others haven't. And so here's some examples. This is Miami, Florida. This is their Downtown Development Authority. Their mission statement is very similar to a Main Street program. They want to, drive business and residential purchases and all that sort of thing in their downtown. But they only have 1,100 people that like this because it's confusing. Your reaction, there's probably a lot of people on this webinar that have been to Miami at one point in their life or been to a town like Miami. But if you read this, it's not for you. You think, well, I'm not part of the Downtown Development Authority, or I've never heard of the Downtown Development Authority, so you're not going to be a fan. That really limits and chokes down the amount of people that they're reaching. In contrast, if you look at this is the Downtown St. Louis Development Authority, or their downtown organization's Facebook profile. Very simple. If you've been to St. Louis, you immediately recognize the arch. If you're a tourist, you might decide to click that. You like downtown St. Louis. You like the brand, you like the product, and look at the difference. It's 40,000 people that like this. So a significant difference between these two profiles. So you got to really think, well, what's our town brand, and really simplify it and make it very, very simple. So here's a couple of downtowns. So that's how I did a pretty good job of that. Downtown Joplin. Anyone that's from this town would recognize that. And their program's called Main Street Joplin, but they have their product is Downtown Joplin, and that will never change. And so that kind of increases interest. Downtown Loveland, Ohio, I thought this was a really good page. And in terms of visualization, I thought these two pages were good. One thing that you need to decide is whether to use your organization name or whether to use your community name, whether you use Main Street Springfield or Downtown Springfield. My recommendation would probably be to pick Downtown Springfield just because you'll have the maximum amount of people opt in to receive messages from you. And once they're opt in, you can tell them all about the great things that Main Street Springfield is doing. It's just that some people, just like when you see the Miami Downtown Development Authority, that's not, you think as a user, well, that's not for you. You're not part of that organization. And even though even if you have some interest in downtown Miami, you might not click that. Or if you focus on the original brand, you're maximizing the people that are going to click like, they're going to sign up through emails, and then you can contact them about all the great things your Main Street program is doing.
Hey, Doug.
Here we're going to get into
Devin.
Yep.
Some people are asking you to slow down your speaking. They're having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
Okay. Well, and we're going to get into the email campaign basics, how you can set up an email program. Then the next part, Chapter 4, will be setting up your Facebook profile. And number 5 will be how do you build lists. Now that you know how to use your Facebook and email, how do you build your list so that it's close to the town population or similar programs. So with email, we really recommend using an email management program. Here's 3 of the biggest names in the industry. We use Constant Contact, but these other programs I'm sure are just as adequate. And so these things are very simple to understand. It's very easy to manage. It's as simple as if you were trying to send an email to me. That's how simple it is for me to email our entire list of 5,000 people. And if you've ever sent an email to Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo Mail, it's the same exact easy to understand format. It also keeps you legal. Technically, You need to have a way for people to opt out if they don't want to receive your emails again, and that helps you keep that legality where you can imagine that you send out email to 5,000 people once a week, and you get 12 people that say they don't want to get your emails anymore. It's obnoxious to go through, your database and edit that out, and this program do that already for you. Another key part is that it measures your results. It measures how many people open your email, how many people click to download the information in your email if you had a download in there, and so that is very effective. It helps you keep track of these emails that I'm sending out. Are people actually reading them? It also allows personalization. It will substitute contact information info into it. So if you've ever had mail merge, if you've ever done mail merge where you get a letter that says, Dear Mayor Smith, Dear Councilman Jones, you could personalize your email just like that, and it gives you a professional look. And here's a simple sign-up from Constant Contact. All the other programs will be very similar. One thing to watch out for is that they'll try to upsell you into buying like the online survey and the event marketing stuff, but just do the email marketing to start. You could even do a free trial to really kind of test it out and see what you think of it. It's basically kind of step-by-step. It's very simple to sign up for. I signed up for a sample account because it had been a while since I signed up just so I could explain it. And the next day they had like a customer service person call me on the phone. So they'll walk you right through it, and it's pretty easy to understand step-by-step. But once you get into one of these management programs, you want to set up your letterhead format. And then for subsequent emails, you just copy your first email and change the content so that you'll be able to keep your email format the same. You don't have to keep creating a separate email format. So you want to adopt a simple format that you can copy and use over again, and that really establishes trust. People know what to expect, and they're used to it, and it works really well. You want to shy away from really big images or complex newsletter formats and really make it simple. And part of the reason, one, is that it's better to email when you have news. If you think of downtown update number 1, downtown update number 2, that's not that engaging, if you're on the peripheral of your organization. But if it's, big festival this weekend, downtown Springfield, people are going to open that. People are going to click on stuff that has you want to put the juicy information in the email header. So that's part of the reason to get away from the newsletter format, because you want to email it out when you have news. And also different programs view your email in different ways. And an example is Yahoo versus Gmail. Yahoo will naturally download images where Gmail won't. The other thing is emails are being read in a lot of different forms. Like for instance, I get all of my emails on my BlackBerry. If it's very image heavy and the format's messed up, you lost me already. I can't even read your stuff. So simplify it. Here's an example. This is our view. This is the letterhead we use that we created. We just copy this, and change the text and the subject with each email. But you can see whether the images were downloaded or not, it's the same basic appearance. If you have Gmail, you don't have to click anything else. You get the content and the juice of our newsletter, our email letter, and it's really effective. And that's the thing to keep out in mind, is that everyone can't see those images. They also try to have some of these programs suggest, having trouble view this email, click here. You want to make it simple. Don't make it so complex that people would have trouble. If it's a basic email format, it'll be very simple. The other thing is sometimes they'll ask you to confirm your relationship. Just get rid of that, because a lot of these email programs in your inbox will show the first part of an email to you. And so if every email you send me starts off with having trouble viewing this email, I'm not seeing your content, it makes me less likely to click on that. So just get rid of that clutter and just simplify your letter format so you don't have to deal with that. And here's an example, a textbook example of what not to do. This is an art gallery that's a couple towns over from us, and they got my email somehow and sent me these emails, and I have no idea what they're trying to communicate with me, because I'll click to even open it, and it's just, this is what it opens in Gmail for me. And so you can see if you use image-heavy formats, if you have a lot of phrases at the top, you're not directing your users to the content. So don't do that. Keep it simple.